Okay, hello and welcome to the Home and Energy Chats. My name is Heather Chandler and I am the owner and publisher of the Green and Healthy Maine Homes magazines. Each episode, we chat with industry experts to help you learn about building healthy, efficient, and sustainable homes. Today, we are going to learn about an exciting financial resource that you may not be aware of, the Efficiency Maine Green Bank, and how it could make it easier to pay for your next home project in Maine. We're going to hear about state rebates and loan programs, how to access them, as well as some available federal incentives. This is invaluable information for anyone planning a home energy upgrade. So very excited to have you here with us today. I would like to start by sharing a special thank you to our sponsors. Royal River Heat Pumps is our annual sponsor. They are a locally owned and operated company that is nationally recognized for heat pump excellence and is 100% committed to the highest standards of quality installations, service practices, and customer satisfaction. And you can find them online at royalriverheatpumps.com. And thank you to our season sponsor, Senecal Construction Services, offering net zero custom designs in Mid-Coast Maine. Senecal turns dream homes into reality with a team of passionate craftspeople and energy efficient quality. And you can learn more about Senecal Construction Services at senecalconstruction.com. And now a little bit about us. Green and Healthy Maine Homes is dedicated to inspiring healthy, efficient, and future-ready Maine homes. In addition to these home and energy chats, we also publish the Green and Healthy Maine Homes magazine, as you can see here, and host the Green Home and Energy Show, which is coming up April 5th in South Portland. Hope you can join us. You can learn more about all of these on our website at greenmainehomes.com, where you can also find a directory of professionals in Maine who specialize in helping us all to create healthy, efficient, and high-performing homes. So a reminder again that the webinar is being recorded and will be uploaded to our website, greenmainehomes.com, and available next week. It's my pleasure to introduce our panelists. James Neal is the Senior Program Manager of Finance Initiatives for the Efficiency Maine Trust, the independent administrator for programs that promote energy efficiency, alternative energy resources, and carbon savings in Maine. James oversees the initiatives offered under the Efficiency Maine Green Bank, which provides a suite of financing offerings for energy products, including the Commercial Property Assessed Clean Energy, the CPACE Finance Initiative. And these initiatives are designed to drive private capital into market gaps for energy efficiency and clean energy equipment and services. So welcome, James. Bridget Gifford is a senior program manager for the Efficiency Maine Trust, the independent administrator for programs that promote energy efficiency, alternative energy resources, and carbon savings in Maine. She has worked for the Trust since 2015, supporting residential rebate programs. And prior to that, she worked with the natural gas utilities in Maine and state-run rebate programs in New York. So welcome, Bridget.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you both for being with us. And again, if you're just joining us today, if you do have questions, feel free to add them using the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. And now, without further ado, James, I'm going to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit more about what the Efficiency Maine Green Bank is, how it came to be, what it offers to Mainers who are looking to upgrade their home's energy efficiency.
Thank you so much for having me and having us. I'm really excited to share a lot about the Efficiency Maine Green Bank with you. Just as a quick overview of what we're going to be covering today, we're going to talk about high level, what is a green bank or the Efficiency Maine Green Bank. We're going to talk about those terminology, the various terminology that we're using, market gaps, market transformation, and make sure that those who are listening understand the meaning of those terms and why it's so important. And most importantly, we're going to talk about what offerings we have, what's available to you, and what you might be able to use to pursue your efficiency upgrades. At a really high level, we talk about green banks as being gap fillers. And, starting with our 2021 legislation enacted 1659, the Green Bank was created as a specialized finance program to drive private market capital into market gaps. We work to balance a lot of different implementation priorities, achieving energy savings, transforming the market, maintaining fairness and promoting equity. A lot of different things that we have to balance and deal with when we're designing these various programs. And the high level description of the Green Bank at Efficiency Maine is that this is not a new and separate entity. It is a program that we now have as an umbrella over all of our different finance initiatives. So we had some previously existing finance initiatives, the revolving loan fund or home energy loans. We had some previous small business loans. And now we have the addition of the CPACE program, municipal and school lease, a manufactured home heat pump lease, which has now converted into a loan. And we're also modifying these programs as we grow and expand this particular green bank. So we're trying to promote program rebates, add financing options for copays to those various rebates, and we're trying to revolve funds with third-party capital and sustain these programs long term. When we talk about market gaps, there's a number of different elements to a market gap. To figure these out and to find these out, there's really no better answer or solution. I mean, we certainly are very data-driven at Efficiency Maine, but we also need to get out into the market and understand where there's real problems with obtaining these different energy efficiency technologies that we're trying to promote. So we've been getting out there, talking to other green banks, other trade organizations, constituents, municipalities, et cetera, to try and find out what is preventing these projects from happening. Where is the barrier and how do we overcome it? What would be a great solution? So this is an ongoing exercise. We're always continuing to take in this feedback and find out more from any of the stakeholders in Maine and really just solve problems, find ways that we can help promote this technology better. So we've identified a number of market gaps. It's just a high level. These sometimes come in specific profiles, low income and disadvantaged communities, things like split incentive, where there's a tenant versus a landlord and who has the motivation to pursue the technology versus who may have the means or the opportunity. Sometimes these are measure specific, heat pumps to certain markets. Some of the common barriers that are just difference between what's available in private market versus what we can offer at Efficiency Maine are things like term lengths. How do we stand up programs that might have a smaller market size? How do we base things off of other criteria other than taking a collateral interest in somebody's property? So that's just a high level view of how we think about these market gaps and thus how we create these different finance programs. Green banks are really a means to market transportation, and so are incentives and rebates. If we look at taking the market and trying to help retrofit it to technology like heat pumps or other energy efficiency technology, the incentives really help build the market by making it attractive to customers and growing the contractor community. Financing is sometimes needed to help increase the access, make it available to more customers, those who don't have the sitting capital able to pursue those projects. And the way that we reach market transformation is essentially being able to bring in those private market investments and add a lot more dollars to the equation. If you were to calculate the amount of money that's needed to be able to transform the entire market, it's usually greater than we're able to support through just incentives and financing within an entity like Efficiency Maine. So bringing in that private market capital just expands the total capacity that we have to be able to fund these different programs and stimulate this transformation. I'm going to cue in Bridget to talk about some of our residential offerings for incentives.
Thanks, James, and thank you, Heather. So as James mentioned, the home energy loans are really a function to help get this work done. So I'm just going to go through a few slides. What are the existing offers on the residential side of the house? What we have right now for incentives or for rebates. And I'm starting off with this slide right here. This is our vendor locator on the Efficiency Maine website. So that's efficiencymaine.com. This is where we sort of like start. We drive a lot of traffic from our call center right here when folks call in and say, you know, this is my issue. What do I do? We try to get an installer in front of a homeowner as soon as possible to talk through some solutions. So this is the database that we use and support. Under services, you can sort of scroll down there and tick off whether you're looking for a heat pump update or a installation, lots of other heat pump water heater or other services. So you're going to want to select that. What zip code are you looking? And then we're going to sort by. So you can see all the folks within that zip code or close to that do the work you're interested in. So this is important because all of the vendors in this database are partnered with Efficiency Maine. So if you're looking for a heat pump installation or an insulation project, you're going to need to have a professional do that. So those are not sort of a DIY upgrade at home. In order to capture the rebate, one of these installers listed here would have to do that work. So I just wanted to put this in front of everyone. This is sort of how the rebate gets applied, making sure that you're using a partnered contractor. Most everyone in the state is partnered, but you just want to do that double check and ask. We're going to go into the rebates pretty quickly, but before we get there, all of the rebates on the residential side are sort of tiered by income. So a low income household would have a larger rebate. There is a moderate income pathway as well, and that is an enhanced rebate. And then there's a rebate for everyone else. So as long as you're doing a heat pump upgrade or an insulation project and you're using one of these registered vendors who's partnered with Efficiency Maine, the rebate applies. What you're looking at here is sort of our verification tool, again, at efficiencymaine.com. We need to verify that someone is in fact low income or is in fact moderate income. So we've got these pathways listed here, and you just click on the little radio button, whether the household participates in the HEAP program or SNAP or Maine Care or TANF. Those would be what we call low income households, and anyone in the household participates in any of those programs, that address would qualify for the low income highest rebate. And then there's this moderate income section, and we're just asking for tax documents to determine whether that household has an adjusted gross income that would be applicable. So for a single filer, that's $70,000 or less. For joint filers, that's $100,000 or less. And so they would be put in that moderate income bucket. Next. Okay, so the first measure we're going to discuss is our heat pump water heater. So I like to put this sort of problem statement up. We're looking at a bar graph right now, sort of all the different ways that Mainers heat their water at home, and the heat pump water heater being the most efficient and the least expensive. And there's a continuum here all the way up to an electric resistance tank, sort of the inefficient electric ways to heat water would be the most expensive. So you can sort of see where you fall on that continuum and where you'd like to be. And we can advance the slide. These are the heat pump water heater incentives. This is not necessarily something you need a professional to install, although we do have plumbers in that database that do this work. You can just go to Lowe's or Home Depot or Granite Group, or even, find one of these elsewhere, and there is a $950 rebate associated with this. There's also a federal tax credit. So save that documentation, those receipts and that invoicing, so that when you're filing your taxes later in the year after purchase and after upgrade, you can sort of capture that federal tax credit incentive as well. Next, thank you. We're looking at a bar graph here. This is very similar to our water heater calculations. We're looking at just primary heating. So these are all the different ways that Maine households heat their home in winter, and this sort of efficiency continuum. We've got wood stoves way down at the least expensive and our electric resistance baseboard heating as the most expensive. And we've called out some of the typical ways that Mainers heat their home through boilers, through that forced hot water system, with oil or with propane, and what that might be over the course of a year. The assumptions here are a family of four, 1,800 square foot home, and where the heat pump expense would fall as well. So much more efficient than an oil or propane. So you can see what you're using at home. Sometimes Mainers use more than one thing. We've got calculators on our website where you can just go through and customize how this might look at home and sort of see what your savings might be. But again, the sort of problem statement here is that we're spending a whole lot of money every winter on inefficient ways to heat our home. Next. Okay, we're getting into the heat pump incentives with this slide. We're looking at our low-income Mainers at an 80% rebate up to $8,000 from Efficiency Maine. So if your installation is $10,000, for example, and you are a low-income Mainer, meaning someone in your household participates in these benefit assistance lists of MaineCare, TANF, SNAP, or HEAP, Efficiency Maine rebate would be $8,000 in that case. A moderate income home can count on a $6,000 rebate up to 60% of the project cost up to $6,000. And then everyone else, still a very generous rebate of 40% of the project cost up to $4,000. So again, for those low and moderate households, you want to go to our website and verify, and then you can expect those enhanced rebates. We also have the federal tax credit here as a reminder that there is a federal tax credit that you can stack on to things to help you, pay for that over the course of the life of it. And then the grand total, what is available to help cover the cost of that upgrade. Next. These are insulation incentives. Again, it looks very similar to our heat pump rebate structure. So for our low-income Mainers, it's an 80% up to $8,000 rebate. So that is, a check from Efficiency Maine right after the upgrade takes place. Moderate income, 60% up to $6,000. Everyone else, 40% up to $4,000. Really generous rebates. They've never been as high as they are right now for heat pumps or for insulation. Again, there is a federal tax credit that can also help support, some of that remaining expense. Obviously, James has some loan products that can help with whatever is out of pocket after these things are applied, but we have some really generous rebates right now for homeowners or landlords looking for these upgrades in their buildings. Next. I put this slide up here. This is just showing all the other rebate and tax credits that we're talking about today. The rebates for geothermal heat pumps are a third of the cost up to $3,000. There is a federal tax credit there. And we've got just a whole list here. I'll go through and list them for those of you who are not looking at the screen. Battery storage, there's a federal tax credit there, 30%. Solar, we don't have a state rebate. I think that was one of the questions that came up from the group. There's not a state rebate, but there is a very generous federal tax credit of 30%. We have a rebate for wood boilers and pellet boilers of a third of the cost up to $6,000. There is also a federal tax credit to help support that. And there are federal tax credits for wood stoves or pellet stoves, windows, exterior doors, energy audits. And the final measure listed here is clothes washers. At Efficiency Maine, we do have a $50 rebate on clothes washers if they're Energy Star certified. So that's the end of that slide. This is our multifamily incentives. And so there was a question around our commercial offerings. So really these slides that I'm talking about today are really residential, but on the website, we've got an at-home section. We have an at-work section. The at-work outlines all the other commercial and industrial things, rebates that we have at Efficiency Maine. So this is really just looking at multifamily, 1 to 2 units, 3 or more units. The commercial side tends to go with square footage when they're assigning rebate value rather than dollars per housing unit as we do on the residential side. So there's lots of information on the website if you've got those commercial questions, but just wanted to point out that there are multifamily residential offerings as well. And that's back to you, James. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bridget. Alrighty, so we're going to get into a little bit more detail around the Efficiency Maine Green Bank and different available incentives and offerings that you can use to help you finance the co-pays to those different projects that Bridget was speaking to. So I do obviously want to highlight that we are a relatively new green bank, meaning that the legislation was only stood up in 2021, and we have offered finance products for a significantly longer period of time and closer to a decade. But this new formulation of a green bank is a trend that spurred out of the Inflation Reduction Act, Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. And so with that, there's a growing network nationally of green banks. And Efficiency Maine is very active in that community. We're a member of or a partner of the American Green Bank Consortium. We're an inaugural member of the U.S. Green Bank 50 or the GB 50. And we're also a subordinate of the Coalition for Green Capital. And we have a number of other key relationships as well. And that's helping us in a number of areas. It's helping us gain access to different third-party capital markets. It's helping us homogenize our products with other jurisdictions so that we're able to get that critical mass that's sometimes needed and create different standardization across the country and learn from the lessons that others have learned and provide that insight to them as well. One of the key things I also wanted to go over is the fund sources that are available. These are really the tools that are in our tool belt of what we're allowed to or capable or compliant with when we stand up a finance initiative or a loan product. So we have 2 primary fund sources for consumer-facing loans from the Green Bank. One is the American Recovery and Reinvestment Act, or ARA. So we have roughly $19 million from that bucket for loans and credit enhancements. Those are specified to go to residential energy efficiency projects, and they're historically used for our home energy loans. The Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund that I had mentioned earlier, or GGRF, we have recently received upwards of $15 million for loans and credit enhancements that can be used for residential and commercial. This includes energy efficiency projects and renewable energy projects. These funds have not even hit our account yet, so this is very new, and we're just implementing these funds into our programs. So this is a very, very brief bullet list of what these funds can be used for. There's a number of different requirements that come along with these funds that shape some of our decision making. So obviously, when we identify market gaps, we want to create these different products. We are sometimes limited or constrained based on these fund sources. And so we're always looking to add to this arsenal and get more tools in our tool belt. I do want to talk about low income and disadvantaged communities focus. The definition of, or this is sometimes referred to as LIDAC, The definition of low income is going to be based on geographically dispersed low income households. So, depending on the number of persons in that household, as well as the income of that household, they may qualify for as low income. That is very um, a similar definition, or I believe almost the exact same definition as our income programs. Um, so that is one pathway to be considered a low income or disadvantaged community project. The other is to be geographically in one of the regions that are identified as disadvantaged by the CGEST or EJ screen mapping tools. So in this particular image, you can see the highlighted area, the area that is a little bit darker green. That is all considered disadvantaged community. If you're to really drill in on this map into some of the southeast area of Maine that has less disadvantaged communities, there still are different neighborhoods and communities within there that are considered disadvantaged. This is sometimes important to know because there are some additional and expansive terms and offerings for those who are in LIDAC communities. And that is a theme and an output directly of the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. It's a requirement that the funds focus on that particular community. So I want to go over some of the existing Efficiency Maine finance initiatives. To view these finance initiatives on our webpage, at the very top, we have a green bank button at the top level of the hierarchy of the webpage. If you were to click that, it will bring you to an overview page where you can view all of our existing finance initiatives or loan products or lending products. And once you go into there, you can also see a drop down where you can drill right into one of the specific finance initiatives. If you were to navigate to our home energy loans webpage, currently you can see any income home energy loan product and an income-based home energy loan product. There's a specific button to apply to either of those. If you are go through the income eligibility process, that is the same process that you would use for the programs Bridget was talking about. There's a link that says request eligibility verification here. If you go there and you are income eligible, then you may be presented better terms through the income eligible loan product. There is a borrowing cap on the income-based home energy loan product that is less than the any income home energy loan product. So if you are income eligible, you can use either button. You would have the option. So compare and contrast those terms and see which one might be the right opportunity for you to apply to. And if you are not income eligible, then you would use the any income home energy loan application. And as you can see, each particular column header is describing one of the particular loan types on that particular home energy loan webpage. Some quick highlights of the income-based eligibility verification. I mostly want to reiterate here that the income verification is valid for 1 year from the date of notification. So if you haven't received that within a year, it might be a good time to refresh. And that's typically something you want to do before you go to apply for one of the loan products. An overview of our home energy loan, the income-based loan. For eligibility criteria, we allow homeowners who are verified income eligible, as described previously. The subject property must be residential, single-family, duplex, manufactured home, or a condo unit, and it must be located in Maine. And the project must be eligible for an Efficiency Maine rebate in order to be approved for a loan. The minimum credit score is a 580 FICO score, and the maximum debt to income ratio is 70%. The maximum borrowing amount is $7,500 and the interest rate is 5.99%. This compares to any income loans. The homeowner must be the owner of the property, uh, the subject property where the project is happening. It must be a residential property similar to income eligible loans, single family, duplex, manufactured mobile home, condo unit. It must be located in Maine. There's a difference here where the project must be for the installation of heat pumps or insulation and air sealing, but these are categorical definitions and are not required to receive or be eligible for an Efficiency Maine rebate for any reason, as long as it meets the categorical definition of heat pumps or insulation and air sealing. It would be an eligible technology for any income loans. Another change from the past or from the income eligible loans is that the projects can be comprehensive, meaning that you can finance a heat pump and insulation and air sealing project in one loan, so long as the residential registered vendor is capable of providing all of those services. This is a slightly more restrictive underwriting criteria. The minimum FICO credit score is 620 and the maximum debt to income ratio is 55%. You can borrow up to $25,000 and the interest rate is 7.99%. I don't need to spend too much time on this rebate assignment, but there is a concept where if projects are not required to receive a rebate, but they may receive a rebate. If in the case a project for any income loans receives a rebate, that rebate, unless otherwise expressed or agreed, for home energy loans will be automatically applied to a customer's loan balance, and it will reduce the principal and it will recast the payments to the term length. So it will essentially lower the monthly payment. If it was a 10-year loan, it would stay a 10-year loan, but the monthly payments would go down to reflect the new principal. This is really to allow customers to borrow the entire cost of the project. And then if they get a rebate, that rebate is automatically applied to their loan balance. So this is an exercise of creating simplicity and efficiencies in our system and some continuity across the loan products and the rebate products that are offered from Efficiency Maine. Some of the metrics of our home energy loans, we've just recently stood back up our any income loans. So we haven't registered some of those, some of the volume in the last fiscal year, but we've done over 135 income-based loans. You can see obviously all time we've done over 8,000 loans totaling over $60 million. So really exciting and really great to have such a strong value to the market. 17% of the loans have been to LMI or low moderate income. That's only been tracked since 2023. So we assume that a significantly higher percentage would have met that particular criteria. However, 17% only being tracked since 2023, that number of 17% is an all-time percentage. So that's we're really glad to have that level of impact. And 85% of the loans have been to low income or disadvantaged communities. The next step for us with the home energy loans broadly is we have a new lending platform that I'll get into in a moment. And we're currently onboarding residential registered vendors, and we're accepting applications from customers for the any income loans. If you're working with a residential registered vendor and they're not currently on our platform or they're not offering our any income loan, please refer them to us. We're happy to get them up to speed and onboarded efficiently, and hopefully in a manner that it wouldn't affect your ability to, if you had a preferred RRV or registered vendor that you wanted to use, hopefully it wouldn't affect your desire to use that vendor and be able to utilize the any income loan products. We're continuing conversations with local lenders as always to leverage third-party capital. That's all done behind the scenes and something that we maintain the upfront presentation of Efficiency Maine as well as the efficiency of you're just working with us. But we're bringing in other capital sources to increase the volume of our offerings. And we expect the new infusion of capital to expand our existing offerings. Touching on the Efficiency Maine Green Bank lending platform, it's available on our home energy loan webpage where you click to apply for an any income loan. At that point, you would register if it's your first time entering the platform, and you'd be able to start a new application at any time from there. Anytime you may need help or support, please contact our info at Efficiency Maine or the number of our incoming line, 866-376-2463, and we'll make sure to share that. And just specify that you're looking at loans and to make sure that you're routed to the proper location. Loans or financing. A couple other programs that might be relative to you. We have a small business energy loan program that helps registered small businesses, which basically are businesses that have a peak electrical demand of 50 kW or less in a small general service or small or medium general service bill. We provide some financing opportunities for them to pursue high performance heat pump retrofits or VRF system retrofits. So if any listening have a small business, this is another pathway to help create efficiencies there. We also have the Manufactured Mobile Home Initiative loans. This is directly tied to our Manufactured Mobile Home Initiative, which offers a rebate or incentive to customers with specified other eligibility criteria to manufactured mobile homes. So if you are in that particular program, we have some financing to help you with the copay of that particular program. And we can share some of the eligibility criteria for that particular program. Next steps for financing initiatives. We're looking to always expand and fill more market gaps. For equipment and upgrades, we're considering expanding the eligibility of requirements of finance offerings. It's usually within our more near term to be able to do so for efficiency measures that we already provide rebates and incentives for. That way we already have the Rolodex of registered vendors. And there's a number of efficiencies to that. So we're always exploring that. That does come with time, review of these different market gaps, a further compliance review of the different fund sources that we have. But it is something that we're always looking at, and we'd love to hear from customers where they may need help in financing energy efficiency technologies. We're always looking to broaden our terms and provide more preferred terms to customers whenever we can. And we're looking at these types of changes in the residential, small business, commercial sectors. And I think we're ready for the Q&A period.
Thank you both so much. That was a lot of really great information. So I'm excited to dive into the questions that we've received. I'm wondering if, to kick those off, if you could give just a quick overview of how do these products differ, or how are they the same or different from traditionally available finance products for homeowners?
Yeah, a lot of traditionally available finance products leverage the underlying property. So they're usually secured in some way, manner of speaking, to the home or to the property itself. We don't take a security interest in the underlying property. These are considered unsecured loans. So that's a very material difference. If you were to compare that to the private market and look at unsecured loans, they're usually personal loans that of which you could use the money for any purpose, and thus the interest rate is much higher and the term length is much shorter. So we're essentially almost like a hybrid product between those two in most cases, where we don't take that collateral or interest in the property, but we also are tying it directly to a project. So we know what you're spending it on. We know these projects generally save customers money. And so we're able to provide better rates and terms. And that's part of this exercise, is helping take the available terms that are in the private sector and allow them to offer better terms, create a little bit of competition in that area so that they're starting to offer better and more expansive terms for these types of projects.
Great, thank you. That's super helpful. We have several questions from listeners about what the loans can be used for. Karina is asking if they can be used to help pay for electrical panel upgrades that are needed for heat pump installation.
Yeah, it's a great question. So heat pumps are an eligible upgrade. So that would be something that you can finance 100% of the cost of. And we have an allowance of an additional 25% of the financed amount that can be used for other project costs. That includes health and safety upgrades or other projects that are required to complete your initial project. So yes, if there was a requirement to upgrade your electric panel to do a heat pump project, that would be allowed in that 25% tolerance. But there is a 25% of the financed amount being capped with these other project costs. So as long as it was in that 25% tolerance, then yes, you can use the money to finance other project costs, including panel upgrades. There's many other things that would be allowed in that 25%.
And that can be with a different vendor. It doesn't have to be with the same vendor that's doing the heat pumps.
The full finance amount gets dispersed to the registered vendor. So it would be under the registered vendor as the contractor to receive those funds and disperse them to the appropriate party. So everything would need to be done in through that one particular registered vendor.
Guy is asking if loans are available for new build, off-grid, year-round homes.
Yes, currently our criteria is that the property must be owned by the customer, and that customer must live in Maine, and the property must be in Maine. But we are not currently limiting our financing to in any way exclude new builds or off-grid. And it's also not a requirement that the property be your primary residence. You do need to be a Maine resident, and the property needs to be in Maine. But those are the high-level building type and customer borrower eligibility requirements.
David is asking if these programs are available for commercial buildings, and if so, what are the income limits, and are these limits for commercial building owners or tenants?
So the home energy loan has a building type eligibility requirement that caps at either condo units or a duplex. We have a small business offering that is in the commercial world, but no home energy loans do not allow for commercial buildings as an eligible building type. That would be in the category that we're looking for expansion into new sectors as we continue. We do have rebates and incentives that are available for commercial technology, but not currently a lot of loan or financing products. With one exception, I would say CPACE. So CPACE is not a Efficiency Maine providing credit to a borrower. CPACE is allowing a borrower and one of our registered capital providers to come to a finance agreement. It's a very specialty finance product that's available on our webpage. That is a commercial facing product, but it is not of the same terms and limitations or defined criteria of home energy loans. So I would suggest looking at our webpage for more information on CPACE.
Great. Bridget, a couple questions for you. When you shared the existing rebates, you had mentioned that homeowners can receive a percentage of the improvement's cost as a rebate. Is that cost gross or net?
That is gross. So yeah, if it's the project cost is $10,000, a low income household would get an $8,000 check.
And then adding on to that, with the federal rebates,
Hmm.
they are a percentage of the amount the homeowner pays after your rebate. Is that correct? The federal tax credits?
Yeah, so we ask that people discuss that with their, tax preparer, the IRS. There's a little bit of some differing interpretation on what that credit is. It on the full cost or is it after the rebate's been applied? So we haven't gotten very tight on what that would be with the IRS. So we just are asking homeowners to discuss anything with the federal tax credit. Reach out to the IRS on that. But yeah, hopefully the table is helpful just to see that there is a credit available that can stack with the rebate.
Another one for you, Bridget. We received a couple of questions about whether there is any expiration date for any of the rebates, and is there any way for homeowners to know like when the funds are getting low?
Yeah, that's a great question, and we get that quite a bit. The rebates are subject to change at any time. Efficiency Maine is very committed to electrification and insulation as well. We do have some state goals that Efficiency Maine is trying to support. So um, the rebate levels sometimes change. If it's a low or a moderate income rebate, those typically have a reservation associated. And once you've got a reservation, you're sort of locked in. But we think, now's a great time to get your upgrade complete, because those rebate amounts are subject to change, uh, depending on different market forces and how quickly the budget is investing. It's our job to take a look at that every week and make sure things are steady. But sometimes things are going a little too fast or a little too slow, and that's where we would make some changes, either pulling back on a rebate amount or pushing up a rebate amount.
But if somebody had it approved through their vendor, their contractor ahead of time, are they locked in that they would have the assurance that that would be there for them?
Um, if they have an efficiency mean reservation or a loan reservation, that would be a committed amount that would be locked in. If it's simply a contractor has it scheduled, um, that's not as tight.
Yeah, good to know. Important to know. Okay, James, another one for you. Asking if there is a minimum loan amount for any of the different income level loan types.
It's a great question. So for any income loans, there is not a minimum loan amount. For income eligible loans, there is a $2,000 minimum borrowing amount. I also did want to amend one of my previous statements about new construction. It's not a limitation for the building type or the customer borrower, but for the upgrade type of insulation and air sealing, that is not an eligible upgrade if the property is new construction. Not the same for heat pumps. Heat pumps, it would be considered eligible. So I just wanted to add that nuance.
Thank you. There's a question about solar panel initiatives. I know you covered in your slide, Bridget, that there aren't currently any rebates for solar in Maine, but there are some federal incentives. Do the loans apply to solar projects?
Not currently. It's something we welcome some feedback on. It is technically within the eligibility of one of our new fund sources, but we don't currently have any lending products available with that as an eligible upgrade or equipment. But we'd always welcome feedback in that area. So I would say yes, it's in consideration, but I would also share that there's not an immediate plan or product coming for implementation. So always welcome feedback.
And I know that a lot of the solar installers have their own loan programs too for solar, so that could be another option for folks who are looking for that. Owen is asking if the Efficiency Maine Green Bank for retrofit if it's for retrofit applications only, or if it can be used during home construction or an addition. I think you covered this already with somebody else's question. Anything to add on that?
It can be used for home construction, but it has to be for the specific equipment and upgrades. And one of those upgrades being insulation and air sealing would not be allowable for new construction. It would be allowable for heat pumps, but also the work would have to be done entirely by a residential registered vendor as the funds get dispersed directly to them. So if you were in the process of building a home that it could be a part of your capital stack, so to speak, and it could be a finance product that you use. But it does need to meet all of the requirements, and that includes be installed by a residential registered vendor and a number of other criteria. So just make sure that you've gone through the entire eligibility checklist if you're intending to use it in that instance.
Bridget, on those rebates and tax credits, are those lifetime or annual?
Great question. Those are lifetime limits. So if someone had a heat pump installed like 3 years ago and had a rebate applied, there is still money on the table if they would like their home to be heated primarily by heat pumps all winter long. There's rebate money left.
And on the federal, are those percentages, do they refresh annually? I think they
I
do.
believe they refresh annually. Yeah. So that's, get a heat pump this year and then a water heater next year and take advantage of the max available.
Spreading it out. The interest rate was lower on the low income than it is on the all income. So, and the limit is lower too, 7,500, right? Can somebody take advantage of that 7,500 at the lower interest rate and then have their project, if it exceeds 7,500, use the other loan program for the difference? Or is it one or the other?
It is typically one or the other. Theoretically, we don't use one loan product as a barrier or in any way a criteria for eligibility to the other. So theoretically, a homeowner could stack those particular loans together.
Okay. I think we have one other question, unless I'm missing something on here, which is probably just about all we have time for. So Chris is asking if a blower door is a blower door result part of insulation work. Would this qualify for insulation incentive? So I think he's asking if you require the blower door test.
We do on the claim form. There's a number of different requirements, and so the pre-imposed blower door numbers are required. I see that Chris also had a question about air to water heat pumps. And I just wanted to address that Efficiency Maine is looking into that. We're collecting data on kind of a small scale in northern Maine about that technology and looking at the performance through this heating season. So that result would likely get posted spring or summer to the website. But we're kicking around that technology. That would be a huge win to Maine if that comes to fruition. We've got a lot of homes that are using boilers right now. So that's a great question, and we're looking into it.
Great. And I do see another question I missed. June is asking, she said that Massachusetts seems to have a 0% interest rate loan for home energy efficiency products or projects, and she's wondering why Maine doesn't.
It really depends on fund sources. A lot of our fund sources require that we revolve the funds in perpetuity. So we need to, I don't want to say the word charge, but we need to bring in enough to cover our losses and our costs. So we do have to apply an interest rate in that so that we have the same quantity of funds that we can revolve over time. The other reason is some funds require to bring in private market capital. So if we offer let's say 0% loans, we wouldn't be able to bring in private market capital to help supplant and blend with our particular capital, because obviously the private market it doesn't do that. We do have some 0% loans. For instance, our manufactured home heat pump loan is at 0%. So we do have smaller carve outs that we can offer particular programs like that. The last thing I would say is that sometimes 0% programs come with other fees and other transaction items that get built into the cost. So it is 0%, but the principal might be greater than the project costs for other fees being built in there. So that's a variety of reason why not all of our products are at a 0% interest rate. And it depends on the constraints of the funding source at the end of the day, and also making sure that we're bringing in enough money to sustain these programs. We did go through an exercise in 2022 where we had such great demand for our loan products that we were limited on the available funds to continue, and we actually had to reduce the some of the eligibility requirements to lower the demand of those who are borrowing money from us. And we would prefer to keep our programs going in perpetuity. It's very disruptive to the market when we have to change on a dime like that. So just some high level context. We'd love to be able to across the board offer even more attractive products, but we have those other considerations.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that clarification. And thank you. We've come to the end of our session, which always happens so quickly on these. But thank you both again for joining us today. This was really informative, and I'm grateful to you both for sharing some of your time and expertise with us, and such great questions from our viewers today. So thank you for those.
Thank you, Heather. Thanks for having us.
Thank you again to our sponsors, Royal River Heat Pumps and Senecal Construction Services, and our webinar producer, Rain Rayner, who handles everything so beautifully behind the scenes. You can learn about our future home and energy chat episodes and catch up on recordings from past sessions on our website, as well as sign up for our email newsletter, links to our social channels. That again is greenmainehomes.com.